Pretty heavy percussion there. Probably should take some mridanga lessons. Okay. The day after Christmas. Yesterday, we discussed the first half of Canto 10, Chapter 7. In the first half of Canto 10, Chapter 7, Krishna was just 3 months old. And pretty interesting, in this one chapter, he became 9 months older in one chapter. Pretty good. And the demon Tṛṇāvarta is the topic. There are many nice things about this pastime. One of the nice things about the pastime many nice things, but some of the nice things include the ability that Krishna has to strengthen and enhance and amplify and send the emotions, the attachments that the residents of Vrindavan have for Krishna into different spheres. In many cases, of course, later pastimes, Krishna is the one to give protection, and in this case, they're wishing to give protection to Krishna. And the Kaliya's Leela is So those of you that are, just one more time, those of you that are up front, come a little closer up front, because the fashionably late people need a place to sit. We want to be nice to them. Let's just go to the Leela. Setting the mood is being challenging. So, Tṛṇāvarta, Avarta, means a whirlpool or whirlwind, and Trin means straw, as in Tṛṇādapi Sunichena, that one. Straw, or blade of grass. So, Tṛṇāvarta. Put the two together. Tṛṇāvarta means he who turns the world upside down like grass, or he who by his speedy force makes grass whirl about. So that the emphasis we heard from earlier discussions, this particular demon was very strong, and Krishna surpassed his strength. Now, he wasn't expecting a little child to surpass his strength. So he was quite surprised, more than surprised. There's a set of prayers, the Ashtatarasata, prayers to Krishna, and here's the prayer to Krishna. Om Tṛṇīkrita Tṛṇāvartaya Namaha. It's a Vedic mantra. It's not in honor of Tṛṇāvarta, it's in honor of Krishna who killed Tṛṇāvarta. As insignificant as straw, Tṛṇāvarta. So here's a nice painting that depicts the pastime. That puffy looking thing on the left, that's the whirlwind that was created by Tṛṇāvarta. And there's cowherd boys gesturing at what was going on. And some of them are covering their eyes because the windstorm that was created was too much. So we saw this at the beginning of yesterday's presentation from Sri Stavamrita Lari. There's the Sanskrit, here's the translation. He employed the strength of his two lips on Putana, the strength of his arms on Keshi and Vriga, the strength of his feet on Kaliya, the strength of his body on Kamsa and Tṛṇāvarta, and the strength of his weapons on Banasura and other demons. May Nanda's son, who possesses all strength, be pleased with me. May be pleased with all of us somehow. So this is going right back to the very beginning of chapter 7, which we've already heard. So this is review. My Lord Shukadeva Goswami, the various activities exhibited by the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are certainly pleasing to the ear and to the mind. So chapter 7 somehow follows chapter 6. And chapter 6, the topic of chapter 6? Chapter 6? Putana. Putana. Simply by one's hearing these activities, dirty things in one's mind immediately vanquish. Especially, we heard, so repeat. Nice to hear it again. Especially the childhood pastimes of Krishna. And the sweet, one of the aspects of sweetness is he appears as if. So the as if part is he's human, as if he's a human, but he's not human. And as if he's a small child, but he's not a small child. And he exhibits powers that indicate, as he did with Putana, etc., he's not just a small child. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every instant. And so it's a lila appearing, and then his activities. And the deliverance of Tṛṇāvarta is special. We heard Shakatasura, a big Vimana, came from the spiritual world and took him to the spiritual world. And he was a bad guy. Generally, we're reluctant to hear about the activities of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they automatically are pleasing to the mind and ear. And to the eye also. The artists show some very nice pastimes. Thus, one's attachment for hearing about material things, which is the root cause of material existence, vanishes. And one gradually develops devotional service to the Supreme Lord, attachment for Him, and friendship with devotees who give us the contribution of Krishna consciousness. There must be an on-off switch for that thing. So off we go, reviewing a little bit the beginning part of chapter 7. The inquiring person, same. It's Shukadev Maharaj Parikshit, wanting to hear further about Krishna's pastimes. Please describe other pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared on this planet imitating a human child and performing wonderful activities like killing Putana. So, in response, this is just review, he begins, Shukadev Goswami begins narrating the pastime of Shakatasura, and then commentary by Sanatana Goswami. Similar, this is still introductory. Describe the pastimes, childhood pastimes of Krishna, who attracts all hearts, who is directly Bhagavan, after he killed Putana. These pastimes are most bewildering. I guess there's one advantage in going through all this, and that is there are some persons that are from out of town, and you didn't hear part 1 or part 2. So review is nice. Even for those that have heard, and what to speak of those that haven't. These pastimes are most bewildering. They are amazing. Though they are actions of a small child, showing great power and sweetness, he appeared in the material world with a human form, accepting or respecting birth as a cowherd. Indescribable. with the highest rasa. He respected all the cowherd people. Though he was the Supreme Lord, by his infant pastimes he controlled them all by spreading prema. He was astonishing because even as a small child he displayed powers of the Lord. This is just review. One day, a year after Krishna's appearance, so now we're beginning the pastime, the Tṛṇāvarta, because Shakatasura was just 3 months. Because the Shakatasura pastime took place shortly after the Putana pastime, which was 3 months. Mother Yashoda was putting her son on her lap. But suddenly, she felt the child become heavier than a mountain peak, and she could no longer bear his weight. Now, what's going on? Krishna has different... The yogis can do things like this. They can become lighter than the lightest and heavier than the heaviest. The siddhis of yogis, those are 2 of the siddhis. So where does the siddhis, the yogis, get their siddhis from? So what's Krishna doing? Krishna senses, not just extrasensory perception, he's omniscient. There's a demon that's coming, and the demon wants to harm him. In fact, we'll hear, the demon was sent. As Putana was sent, and Shakatasura was sent. So he sent a very powerful demon, Tṛṇāvarta. You can do the job, Tṛṇāvarta, go. Get him. One blissful day, this is under Vrindavan Champu, during Krishna's first year, Yashoda lifted up her resplendent, jewel-like son while passing through the main chamber of the palace. She lovingly fondled and caressed him. So nice childhood paintings. With his perfect intelligence, notice the spooky demon in the background, Krishna immediately perceived some danger. Employing his Yogamaya potency, Krishna decided to reveal an ecstatic childhood pastime to show compassion to those rotting in the material world. That's us, by the way. So there he is. She doesn't see, but Krishna sees or senses or understands. Here comes this Tṛṇāvarta demon. So he made himself very heavy so that she would put him down. She didn't have a choice. He was heavy as a mountain peak. She had to put him down so that she wouldn't be harmed. When the demon came to take Krishna away, she would be okay, protecting mom. Thinking thus, Krishna made his body so heavy that he forced his mother to set him down. As a creeper hangs down from the weight of ripened fruits, similarly Mother Yashoda bent over from the heavy weight of her maternal affection. Afraid of dropping her beloved son, Yashoda carefully set Krishna down. That's Ananda Vrindavan Champu, and here's Sridhar Swami commenting on this. Krishna made himself heavy so that Yashoda would put him down, thus avoiding giving her injury. Yashoda cannot die, but she was pained by the weight of the universe within his belly. His power of containing the universe within himself is also established in the Damodar pastime, previous chapter. Though he was tied up eventually, she placed him on the ground, fearing that the bed could not bear the weight. She lost her smile, worrying about some danger. So here's that same painting again. This is verse 19 of the 7th chapter. Feeling the child to be as heavy as the entire universe, and therefore being anxious, thinking that perhaps the child is being attacked by some other ghost or demon, the astonished, notice, secondary rasa, the astonished mother Yashoda put the child down on the ground and began to think of Narayana. They're Vaishnavas. Krishna is their son. They're devotees of Narayana. So when there's a problem, you think of Narayana. At least if you're Mother Yasoda in Nanda Maharaj. Commentary, combined commentary. This combined commentary, I mentioned this yesterday. No problem to say it again. Sanatana Goswami had written several commentaries on the Bhagavatam. One of them was specifically on Canto 10 Bhagavatam, Vaishnava Toshini. And knowing that his nephew, Jiva Goswami, was so expert and scholarly, he gave him the manuscript and asked him, please edit it, and if you see some mistakes, just correct it. So the answer was, yes, sir. And not only that, he wrote a commentary on the commentary. So Vaishnava Toshini Tika was his commentary, and so the combined message is, while living in Vraja, Krishna's thinking, I do not deserve to be covered up or restricted at all. Thinking in this way, Krishna desired to go into the sky. When he was 1 year old, Ekada, this event occurred, since it will be said later in Canto 10, Chapter 26, at the age of 1, while sitting peacefully, he was taken into the sky by the demon Tṛṇāvarta. But baby Krishna grabbed the demon's neck, causing him great pain, and thus killed him. So, confirming from this verse and later Chapter 26. By the sweet will of the Lord, Yogamaya influenced Yashoda's mind. In which way? Without the slightest worry, she left Krishna alone outside the house and went inside to perform other domestic duties. So we heard this in the discussion at length with the Damodar Leela, and how on the one hand Krishna does nothing and his potencies do everything, but his potencies do because he has a desire, and so he does everything, but he does nothing. He does everything through his potencies, but he does nothing. So he just has a desire. Icha. And then the internal potency, the Swarup Shakti, he doesn't have to say anything, but she knows he just has a desire. Then she, the Swarup Shakti, the internal potency, carries out his desire. And she's expert. She makes no mistakes. She knows exactly what to do and how to do it. So she, one of the sub-potencies or expansions of the Swarup Shakti, is Yogamaya. And then Yogamaya has her expansions or her assistants, and it's a big team. Krishna does nothing, but he does everything through his potencies. So, and Mother Yashoda, what's the tattva of Mother Yashoda? Is she Jiva tattva? No. Is she Shakti tattva? Yes. She is an eternal associate of Krishna. Is not a post that somebody can occupy. She's eternally Mother Yashoda, like the statement made earlier. Yashoda can't be killed. Yogamaya can't be killed. Krishna assures Yogamaya, don't worry, when Kamsa tries to kill you, he won't be able to kill you because you're my Yogamaya. So, sorry. No worries. So Yashoda is influenced. She's in Shakti Tattva, not Jiva Tattva, but she's influenced by Yogamaya. And Yogamaya moves this way, she moves this way. Yogamaya moves that way, she moves that way. Question. Does Mother Yashoda have free will or not? Is she just like a puppet moving according to Krishna indicates, pulls this string and she does this, and pulls that string and she does that? There's a relationship. She's a spiritual potency of Krishna with free will, because as Krishna has free will, his potencies have free will. The jivas have free will. Yashoda has free will. That free will is being influenced by Yogamaya, and that's her choice. I want to be with Krishna, so that's her free will. And then she has a special rasa within that big span of free will. She's mother, so she has a feeling of mother, and so Krishna's orchestrating his. She's part of his pastime, but she's not just like a puppet. She's not a wooden doll that without consciousness. I'm just making a point. We can hear it like it's. There's a spiritual science to all of this, and spiritual science is nice because the essence of spiritual science is rasa. Although science sounds like that's dry, maybe for some people, and rasa sounds sweet. That's not dry, but there's a science to rasa. It's not dry. It's very sweet. And she's part of that. It's Krishna's happiness. She's an expansion of Krishna's potency to enhance the happiness of Krishna. And she enjoys his enjoyment, and he enjoys her enjoyment. And it's a nice relationship, mother-son. He's happy to be her son. He's happy to be the Supreme Person who is the source of her. It's very sweet and very mysterious. You have to be very fluid to really grasp the pastimes of Krishna. The pastimes of Krishna are so nice. It can be read and written for children, like a children's book. And then, this happened and that happened and oh and ah and oh and, stimulating emotions that we're familiar with, but go a little deeper and go a little deeper. And so the science of rasa is very profound. And those who are relishers of Krishna's pastimes, like our acharyas, they're helping us. We discussed this yesterday. They churn the topics. Jivana Jivana was commenting on 17 verses, 2 classes. And there's another devotee, Amarendra, same 17 verses, 8 classes. And then you keep going and keep going and keep going. Bhakti Siddhanta, to demonstrate a point, stayed in Dhaka for 1 month and spoke on one verse for 1 month and didn't repeat himself. I repeat myself all the time. Something one day, the next day. But he is such a scholarly Vaishnava. And to demonstrate, there's no limit. We'll say to you, is there a limit? Is there a limit? We discussed this yesterday, remember? There's no limit. Supposing you want to be a good cook. He gave some examples. Supposing you want to be a good mridanga player. Or a good kirtan singer, or a good something or other. Keep going. And stay with it and stay with it. And if you get on the track of reciprocation with Krishna, there's no limit. There's literally no limit, because He's an ocean that doesn't have a bottom. Oceans have a bottom. Even oceans are big bodies of water, but there's a bottom. In the ocean of Krishna Rasa, there's no bottom. Just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. Follow one of our acharyas and it's amazing where they take you. You didn't know that though all those things were there, and there's more and there's more and there's more. It's just, I'm just appreciating the topics of Krishna. They're simple and profound at the same time. Lots of sounds here tonight. Garage doors and okay. So she's influenced by the Lord's Yogamaya potency. Next verse. Look at this. We have 3 verses into the chapter, or to this section. Foreseeing disturbances, she called for the Brahmanas. Nothing happened yet. But he got so heavy, something's going on. So she called the Brahmanas to counteract the evil forces that are influencing her son to become suddenly so heavy she can't hold him. And as the Brahmanas were doing what Brahmanas do, she went about her household duties. She's, a busy lady and a perfected Vaishnava, and she has many friends, and she consults with her friends and explains to her friends what happened. Suddenly this, and then that, and then that. And so while they're having this conversation, she realizes I shouldn't have left Krishna alone. So she went hurrying back, ran back to where Krishna was. This is Sanatana Goswami's commentary against Vaishnava Toshani. Previously, Kamsa became worried when she, that Putana, was killed. Even though sent with an ordinary form, Putana, as a baby killer. Kamsa became worried when she was killed, even though she disguised herself. He then sent Shakata, who did not appear with any form. When he was killed, Kamsa became greatly frightened. So now he's going to call the next one, Vaishnava Toshani. He then sent the whirlwind demon, who was with a form and without form. Very strong and impossible to grasp. No one can defeat him. Next verse. When the child was sitting on the ground, a demon named Tṛṇāvarta, who was a servant of Kamsa's, came there as a whirlwind at Kamsa's instigation and very easily carried the child into the air. Whirlwind. Next verse. Covering the whole land of Gokula, particles of dust. That demon, acting as a strong whirlwind, covered everyone's vision and began vibrating everywhere with a greatly fearful sound. There is an explanation why the great fearful sound. He covered the place with dust so that others could not see anything. Otherwise, he could not steal the child. And the sound, fearing that the child would cry, he made sounds of wind so that no one could hear his crying. All basis. So off he goes. But Krishna's holding on to his neck as if afraid, a little child afraid and being carried away and so forth. Ananda Vrindavan Champu. The whirlwind created by the demon seemed like an exhalation of hot breath from the wives of thousands of snakes, burning in separation from their husbands. Now, what's that illustration at the bottom on the right? That's Your guess is as good as mine. It looks like a whirlwind, and the whirlwind is moving, and Krishna is being picked up. It appeared as if the earth transformed into a blacksmith's bellows, emitting a loud sound in all directions. So whirlwinds are real things, and sometimes they appear on earth. Or was it the ears of the elephants controlling the four directions, which look like flat trays used for winnowing grain, flapping back and forth, causing the whole sky to fall down? From Gopal Champu. Tṛṇāvarta attacked Vraja with a shower of hard stones, almost destroying it. All of Vraja's moving and non-moving entities became frightened. When the wind began to blow, it raised pieces of broken pots and made a noise like thunder. It broke the trees, shortening their lives, and smashed the houses and cowsheds. When the whirlwind arrived, intense darkness covered not only every object, but also the hearts of the people, meaning this is pretty scary. Gopis covering their eyes. For a moment, the whole pasturing ground was overcast with dense darkness from the dust storm, and Mother Yashoda wasn't able to find her son. She had placed him. Panic. Sanatana Goswami. This happened because Krishna wanted to go up in the sky. There's the Tṛṇāvarta demon on the right. Nor could she understand why. Thus she fell on the ground like a cow who has lost her calf and began to lament very pitifully. I mean, one can imagine what a mother might do if the child just disappeared in the midst of this big storm. And what to speak of Mother Yashoda? So what were her feelings? Krishna's stimulating her feelings while he's having fun. All the people cried. Nanda, Yashoda, all the gopis and all the elders, and crying and wailing. Gopal Champu writes, starting with Yashoda, all people on all sides began to cry. The whole of Gokula became filled with the sound of wailing. Meanwhile, this big sound from the whirlwind. The whirlwind sent to the heavens. He looked like a man running up a flight of stairs as continually rose upward atop Tṛṇāvarta. Krishna is very kind, taking care of everybody. When Tṛṇāvarta continuing. When Krishna struck the dust. This is the Europe. Krishna book paintings. There's Tṛṇāvarta zooming up in the air, Krishna holding onto his neck, the resident of Vrindavan down below crying and wailing. When Krishna grasped him by the throat, Tṛṇāvarta choked, unable to make even a sound, or to even move his hands and legs, his eyes popping out. The demon lost his life and fell, along with the little boy down to the ground of Vraja. Now, Ananda Vrindavan Champu says he's socked him. All the other commentaries just say he choked him. Take your pick. Sanatana Goswami, he died in the sky by being choked. Famous for being strong, that's Tṛṇāvarta, but a fool for engaging in actions for which he was not qualified or capable. The demon fell on his back with all his limbs spread out. Now, it's also said he fell on a big stone slab from way up in the air. That's like finished. Man's finished. But he died in the air anyways. Krishna looked like a blue air, but Krishna landed safely on earth. Like another miracle. So they're wondering, how did this happen? While the gopis who had gathered were crying for Krishna, the demon fell from the sky onto a big slab of stone, his limbs dislocated, as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. In case there's some persons in the room that don't know what the story of Lord Shiva's arrow killing the Tripurasura, it's a little document you should have received. So I'm not going to repeat it. You can just read the document. It's a little distracting from the main topic here. He was like the broken city pierced by Shiva's arrows. There's details found in that little document you got. Krishna had the demon fall near the women so that they could see it, or see him, because he wanted to extinguish their grief quickly, since they were lamenting intensely, wailing. The demon's body fell from the sky with a deafening roar into the yard spread with stones, a slab. They saw the demon with his eyes popping out. Ooh. There's a nice painting of his eyes popping out next. Though his body had been very strong, all his joints became loose. The gopis immediately picked Krishna up from the chest of the demon. This resembles what happened with the Putana demon, the previous chapter. On the chest of the demon, and delivered him, free from all inauspiciousness, to Mother Yashoda. So they have love for Krishna like Yashoda has love for Krishna, but there's only one mother, and anyone that has a child knows someone else can try to comfort the mother, but comfort the child, but it doesn't work. When the child is distressed, there's only one person. Just a little sharing. Once upon a time I was traveling, and I was in China, and I don't speak Chinese. And most people that travel in China, they don't speak English. But I observed there was one child, little toddler, that, whatever, something freaked him out, and the little toddler started crying. And the mother wasn't right there. The mother was off doing something. So this mother picked up, and that mother picked up, and the other mother, they all got around and tried to cool the child out. And it just made them scream even more. And the mother came, and she just touched the child, and he stopped. It was really nice. And something similar happened in, someplace I was recently. I won't go into it. There was a little child, and the mother of the little child, and the mother of the little child. And the child started, she wanted to say something, and the little child wanted attention. So he started screaming. And she gave the child to the grandmother. The child screamed more. She gave the child back to the mother. The child stopped screaming. It's like, Somehow children know who their mother is. Somehow the mothers know who their child is. Just one of those things. So in Vrindavan, they have love for love for Krishna, like Mother Jasoda, but they also defer to Mother Jasoda. But they desire to have Krishna as their son. So they do services, and then here they are returning Krishna to Yashoda. And then what happened with this big giant body? We heard what happened with the big giant body of Putana. They chopped up the body of Putana and had a big bonfire. It smelled fragrant because Krishna touched the body. In this case, they didn't have a fire. They put the big body in the river Jamuna. Brahma Vaivarta Purana says, free from his past karma, by Lord Krishna's touch, the demon mounted a beautiful chariot and traveled to Lord Krishna's spiritual abode. Now, that's not a very good illustration to go with this text, but that's, he went back to Godhead also. And Nanda Maharaj, what's Nanda Maharaj going to do with all of this goings on? We must have previously performed austerities for a very long time, worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, performed pious activities for public life, constructed public roads and wells, and also given in charity, as a result of which this boy, although faced with death, has returned to give happiness to his relatives. It's their pious activities. The fruits of their pious activities is the son is now protected. So do more pious activities so your sons will be protected, right? If anything inauspicious had happened to Krishna, we would all have died. That Krishna is unharmed as a result of heaps of pious activities. And that's the end of the chapter. And now we're going to hear about who was Tṛṇāvarta before he was Tṛṇāvarta, his past life. You curious? I'm curious. Brahma Vaivarta Purana is one of those sources that tells these things. Here's the narration. In his previous life, Tṛṇāvarta was a powerful king of Pandudesh named Sahasraksha. He was a devotee of Lord Hari, a follower of religion, a performer of yagyas, and a giver of charity. But who's that fellow over on the right? Take a guess. Durvasa Muni. Uh-oh. Once on the shore of the Reva, on the northern side of the Himalayas, where Pushpapadra river flows near the Gandhamadana mountain, in a very splendid place filled with flowering vines, he enjoyed pastimes with 1,000 beautiful women. And he was too much absorbed in enjoying. When Durvasa Muni came there, the king did not bow down to offer respect to him. Uh-oh. Oh, evil-hearted one, become a demon. Whew. Don't mess with Durvasa Muni. The king fell at his feet. The sage gave a blessing. O king, the touch of Krishna's form will give you liberation. Because of Durvasa Muni's curse, he became Tṛṇāvarta on earth, and by the touch of Sri Krishna's form, he attained liberation. So that's his past life. We're getting close to being completed, so get ready for an abrupt ending. But we've been discussing, because it's just part of how Bhaktivinoda Thakur particularly likes to discuss these childhood pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, there's some anartha or some unwanted thing within the heart of a sadhaka that hearing and the pastime itself helps the sadhaka, or the beginning person, overcome some obstacle, or some anartha. Tṛṇāvarta is a symbol of pride, of useless learning, false arguments, dry logic or reasoning. Atheism is also included in Tṛṇāvarta. So Krishna will protect us from such things, but we don't mess with such things because they're very harmful, potentially very harmful to bhakti. This is a quote. Chaitanya Shikshamrita and Krishna Samhita are two books where Bhaktivinoda Thakur discusses the obstacles or anarthas that are removed by Krishna's performing pastime. Being compassionate by the humility of the practitioner, child Krishna kills the demon Tṛṇāvarta and destroys the thorns on the path of bhajan. There's another reference, scriptural reference. So here's further illustration on the same point. Tṛṇāvarta represents the false pride produced by useless scholarship, which gives rise to wrangling debates and arguments, dry reasoning, dry logical indulgences of the association of people who are attached to such things. The illustration is obvious. It's a 9, it's a 6. Look at it, it's a 6, it's a 9. Looking at the same thing from a different angle. A frog keeps croaking, but he invites trouble. The snake hears the croaking and comes to swallow him. So the croaking frog brings death. And the persons that indulge in those kinds of activities, material scholarship, it brings problems. Here's one of Prabhupada's favorite, the Dr. Frog example. Anybody here not know the Dr. Frog example? Okay. Once upon a time, there was a Mr. Frog. And Dr. Frog, in fact, he has a PhD in frogism. And somebody came to the frog and said, "Oh, Dr. Frog, you have a large body of water in the bottom of your well, but there's a much bigger body of water called the ocean." And the Dr. Frog said, "How much bigger?" "Twice as big, 3 times." So his neck started to expand bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually burst, because he couldn't, with his frog capacity, even with a PhD capacity, speculate the extent of the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or an ocean. No, much bigger, much bigger, much bigger. And it's not possible to find the source of everything through speculation. Just not possible. One can know something, a little piece of something, imperfectly, but you can't know the whole thing perfectly by speculation. So, on the right side, this is, poking fun at evolutionary theory. Speculation produces controversy, which is disloyal to the path of pure bhakti, such as sinful philosophies. These are taken from Back to Godhead magazine articles on the topic. Let's see where the graphics come from. Lord Sri Krishna becomes moved by the humility of his devotees, will carefully avoid this fault, and he strangles the demon and removes this thorn from his devotees' endeavors in devotional service. Krishna is very kind. And demon killing is part of his kindness. Lord Chaitanya is even more merciful. He just purifies them and elevates them. Krishna does away with them. But in doing away with them, he sends them to the spiritual world. Lord Chaitanya is for this age, and Krishna is for the... May you be protected by his pastimes of killing Tṛṇāvarta and crawling around the charming ways and stealing butter and yogurt to satisfy the gopis. Narada is giving a benediction to Gopakumar, and similarly, we're just sitting here in someone's home and hearing this nice pastime. It's cold outside, so it's nice to be inside. But isn't it more than nice to be inside? The pastimes of Krishna have the power of extricating ourselves completely from material existence. Like the previous acharyas. So Krishna interacts with demons in the way that he interacts with demons, and he's enjoying, at the same time liberating. He's stimulating the love of the residents Vrindavan while he's doing all these things. And then he leaves behind inspiring Vyasadeva to record his pastimes, the narration of those pastimes, authoritatively found in Srimad Bhagavatam, and to a lesser degree in other Puranas. So from time to time we come across references from our acharyas of the very same pastime being performed in a slightly different way, or a particular detail about the pastime from this Purana or that Purana. And altogether, the whole of the Vedas is to know Krishna and become attached to Krishna. So it's a nice way to spend, holiday, striving to become attached to Krishna just by hearing about him, and particularly the appreciations of these great authorities, Kavi Karnapur and the topics, and helping us to see the supreme pure in different perspectives. Okay, so let's see if there's some discussion. Here's the last slide. It's a nice painting. Krishna in his childhood, contemplating a peacock feather. Yes. Going back, but put your hand up again.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class. Maharaj, I didn't understand that part where Nanda Maharaj, what did he say after Krishna killed the demon? There was a commentary as well. Could you please explain that part, Maharaj, please?
I don't remember. I have a very short-term memory. But I'll see if I can find it quickly. And then see if there's some explanation that's due.
This one. Yes.
That's it?
Yes, this one.
Okay. We must previously have performed austerities for a very long time, worship the Supreme Personality of God, and perform pious activity for public life, etc., etc. So the fruits of he's a Vaishnava. He's not a Karmakanda personality. But he also values doing appropriate things. And Vaishnavas do appropriate things that are beneficial work for others. And he understands, seeking an explanation. So he understands there's fruits. And the fact that our son has been protected has some connection between our past beneficial activities and the son being protected. Say, conversely, supposing one has been sinful, and it's sinful and sinful and sinful and sinful, then there's some calamity may come. That's a fruit of that sinful. Or some misfortune may come to some but the transcendental picture for a Vaishnava is not pious activities stacked up creates something. It may create material something, but not a spiritual something. You okay? Okay. A follow-up, yeah, speaking to the microphone.
Krishna.
Yes. They're so elevated they don't see that he's God. The intensity of the sweetness of their love is such that they don't see his divinity. And that's Vrindavan. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Over here.
This is a question from Sri Radhika Mataji.
Okay.
So you described bhakti as scientific. However, the only rule binding the spiritual world seems to be love.
But that's scientific.
Unlike cause and effect relationships of mundane science, Krishna is not bound.
But it's
by
not a
rules.
mundane science, it's a spiritual science. Don't use your mundane science yardsticks to evaluate spiritual science. She's right. There's one rule, that's love. And there's a science to love. Ask Rupa Goswami. and so many other acharyas. So you didn't get, I cut her off. There's more?
I think that was pretty much the end of that. It seems to be more of an art than a science. Can you
Okay.
please clarify?
There's a science to art too. Okay, someone else. Okay. There's a hand. Wave your hand again, way in the back. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
We can hear you.
I have actually two questions,
Two questions.
if you will. One of the questions that came up was, I've had a discussion in the past with an elderly gentleman who was claiming that natural calamities come because of the wrath of God. And my refutation, I refuted that, like, that may not be the case. Taking Tṛṇāvarta as an example, where a demon could actually be causing the disturbance. Any comments on that, Guru Maharaj?
What was the nationality of this fellow?
He was an elderly Indian gentleman
Indian gentleman.
living in America.
Wrath of God. It sounds like something else. The paintings of God's up in a cloud, and he comes with bolt of lightning, and sinful. Wrath of God. But that's not, he doesn't understand God. It's not how he persons. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction, the approval, to say yes from the personality of God. And so, but it's if there's a sanction from God, it's not out of arising from wrath. It's arising from love. And if someone does something, say this elderly gentleman, you were probably sometime during your life, you were a father or a parent. And you may have had to say something to a child or a dependent or someone along the way. Then you say it mildly and then say it less mildly and say it strongly. But assuming that in your heart you're a loving person, you say something strongly, it's not out of wrath.
Yes, Guru.
So it's just understand the nature of the source of everything. The source of everything is not wrathful. You do or I'm not. That's not. Sorry, Charlie.
Yes, Guru. The second question.
Such people, my experience is they can't hear it. When they're fixed, they're stuck. Nick, you can say this and say that and say the other, but so say something that's just instead of just nodding yes, or you're very intelligent. But say something that's reasonable, and they'll generally, at least often, people are stuck. People stay stuck, and they don't want to get unstuck. Okay. Go ahead.
In one of the slides, it was explained that Krishna wanted to go up in the sky, and my understanding is Tṛṇāvarta.
Krishna wants us to go up in the sky.
No.
Krishna wanted to go in the sky.
Krishna.
He wanted to go for a ride.
Right. He wanted to go for a ride.
Yeah.
And Tṛṇāvarta actually assisted Krishna in that.
Yeah.
However, his consciousness was one of wanting to kill Krishna.
That's right, like Putana.
So that cannot be counted as devotional service.
Of course not.
Yet he was awarded the spiritual award. Is there
Because
any...
Krishna's kind.
Okay.
It surpasses logic, doesn't it? But it's the nature of Krishna. He's kind. He's kind. He's loving. He's not wrathful.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Jivana Jivan is standing right next to you. Somebody up here wants the microphone. You want to say something? Well, okay. You lost your chance. Your wife will come up with something else.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
You have mentioned that Krishna does not do anything himself, but his potency acts on his behalf.
Right.
But so why in Bhagavad Gita he says he himself is time or intelligence, or he should have said his potency?
Well, he can say it however he likes it. Time is his energy. It's Kala Shakti. It's not him. Kala Shakti is his energy, and thus there's a oneness between his energy and him. But there's a difference between the energy and the energetic. He does nothing. Time destroys things. Time brings things into being. And he does nothing. I have nothing to do. But through his potencies, everything happens. So he can say it however he wants to say it, and it's right to say it this way or say it that way.
And another question, you mentioned that with speculation we cannot understand God. But sometimes when we study scriptures like Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, like we subconsciously do speculation. So how does that happen, and like how to stop it?
Okay, you get your finger burned and don't put your hand in fire. Because speculation, it doesn't bring that. How can such a tendency be other by experiencing param drishtva nivartate, by experiencing samsiddhir haritoshanam, or yenatma suprasidati. When you're so satisfied, supposing, a very easy example to understand. Supposing you're really hungry and you eat and you eat and you eat and you're satisfied. And somebody may come along and say, would you like some more sabji? No thanks. You like some more of this? No thanks. You like some more sweet? No thanks. You like some more? No, thank you. I'm very satisfied. Now later you get hungry, but for the time being. So spiritual satisfaction is things that are unwanted. They just fade in their significance because of a sense of being fully satisfied. So the solution to entanglement is spiritual happiness. So speculation doesn't give spiritual happiness. It does something. And somebody may feel some happiness from speculation. And then since along comes another speculator that outdoes the speculator. So you're now in the loser category instead of the winner category. Anyway, so there's no termination. There's no ultimate termination to speculation. Nor is it a vehicle that they can take when into the spiritual realm. It just doesn't have. The mind cannot enter that realm. You can fix your mind in devotion upon Krishna, and then Krishna can then assist the meditator or the devotee to fix their mind on him. But it's not our efforts of any kind. Efforts alone isn't insufficient. Same for speculation. It's an effort that people may be good at it, but it doesn't. There's no termination to it. There's no conclusion to it. The absolute truth can't be known that way. And that's the statement of Scripture. And just it's a practical experience also. Prabhupada's explanation of the fruits of speculation, someone comes along and comes up with something. And then time passes, another person says, no, it's not that something, because instead, here's another model. And that stands for a while, and then the other model, someone says, that model doesn't work because for this reason, that reason, the bucket's got holes in it, doesn't hold water. Here's a bucket that holds water, so there. And then someone shows it's got holes in it. There's no end to it. The capacity of the mind to speculate into the realm of transcendence, there's a different function of the mind that's receiving, not extending. The ascending process is insufficient. The descending process is altogether sufficient. Here, and then fix the mind on that sound, and it's complete. That's the process. Okay. How are we doing? We have something up front. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You mentioned that Mother Yashoda is not Jiva Tattva,
She's not.
but she's Shakti Tattva.
She's Shakti Tattva.
I didn't understand that.
I can say the same thing again. She just there's categories of entities. Krishna is in one category. He's in the Vishnu Tattva category. Living entities are in the Jiva Tattva category. Lord Shiva is in another category. Shiva Tattva. He's neither Jiva nor Vishnu. He is Shiva Tattva. And then there's Shakti Tattva. It's a category. It's a truth, a substantial truth. And she is in that category. She's a Shakti Tattva. Like, Subhadra. She's in Shakti Tattva category. Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra. She's in the category of Shakti Tattva. And then, so then there's different Shaktis in the Shakti Tattva category. There's the internal, then there's the external, Shakti. Like Maya is external, Shakti, Mahamaya. This Shakti Tattva, she's not a Jiva. She's not Vishnu. She's in another category. So Mother Yashoda is, and she's in the unique category. It's not she's eternally Mother Yashoda. She's in another category. We're eternally Jivas. Conditional, liberated. We're marginal. The Tasya Shakti is marginal. Mother Yashoda isn't marginal. She's in another category.
So I think in the Krishna book it is mentioned that Mother Yashoda in her previous birth was Droni. Right?
Okay.
So that
Why not? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? You have a problem with that?
no, Maharaj.
Okay, good.
I just yeah. I was confused because I thought.
But who was Krishna before he was Krishna? He was this one, that one, the other one, the other one, the other one, the other one. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare. No, the topic that you're raising is a little subtle, and I don't know if this is the time and place to go into the subtle. Because a room full of people that subtle things. I'll tell you what I'll do, because you're asking the question. I'll create a document. I'll give it to Shatarupa. Shatarupa can circulate it around, so you can get, rather than in this form right now, you'll get a document you can look at and you go, Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Drona too. Drona and Dara. You'll see. Over in the corner. You have the last question.
Hare Krishna. The question is about Bhakti Rasa. It's a two-part question. One, I wanted to... so the other day before yesterday, you were talking about Bhakti Rasa. And you gave the example of jaundice. How our
Yes.
tongue is diseased.
Yes.
We don't taste the sweetness, but by continuously tasting this, the disease goes away. So similarly, it is the Bhakti Rasa, the sweetness in Krishna's pastimes. When we continuously taste it,
Yes.
the disease goes away. Is that
You got it.
okay? So
Good catch.
I love that point, and especially when you in Madhurya Kadamini use the word mellifluous, and I thought it was a beautiful way of connecting.
It's Rupa Goswami. I'm just taking the crumbs off his plate. Go ahead.
The second thing is today, one of the slides, the root of material attachment is being attached to hearing material sounds. And in my stage, there is attachment to those material sounds, and so do we receive some kind of a rasa in that situation?
Yeah, material rasa. Yeah, definitely. There's a taste. People that do it, they like it. For you, it's like, ooh. For them, it's, ooh. I mean, modern music is like rap music. Da 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 da. And the people get off on that. It's like more. Etc. So there are different genres of music. And some people like, and some people, one man's food is another man's poison. It has to do with the modes of nature, and there's sounds connected with the modes of nature. There's everything connected with the modes of nature. Foods and happiness and pleasure and material sound. It's the whole of creation. The whole of material creation has sound. And withdraw the sound, and the whole creation just falls flat. It's like these things in people's front yard. And at night they pull the plug, and the guy's just a bag on the front lawn. Hare Krishna. And it doesn't even look like the real thing. Anyway, I think we should end, and thank you all for coming. And I guess we'll see many of you tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki.